Ladies and gentlemen, I am Montoya. I have an update for you about the whole piracy controversy hitting the boards. If you've been sleeping, the story was, or rather the argument was about whether or not you get to keep a ship that you stole as a pirate. If I go and steal your address, do I get to keep it? We had senior game designer Will Maiden going on Spectrum saying, no, you cannot keep a ship you steal. The ship will despawn. And this created a big controversy. Everyone who had dreams of being a pirate is rather triggered, and I asked for people who are triggered to post in my comment section of the last video, and one person which was extremely triggered is none other than Crystal LeChuck. If you don't know Crystal LeChuck, this is him right here. A gorgeous example of a Greek Adonis if I've ever seen one. He and another guy named Frisbee, pictured over here, what a handsome fellow he is, run what is probably the largest pirate-related group in the game. So, what do these guys have to say? Well, first of all, Crystal is obviously very upset about it. He goes, I am very triggered by this. I can't do his accent. Just imagine a Greek accent. You cannot simply backpedal from a feature that is promised in insurance fact with simple comment on Spectrum thread. Fair enough. Also, the proposed system is retarded to say the least. I am offended that he used the word least there. What if the player logs off while in space with that ship? Will the ship despawn and the player dies? Gets spawned at some random location they didn't want to be in the first place? What about making life for that person very difficult by bounties, stolen tag on the ship, basically making it impossible to approach lawful territories? That is what they have discussed. Without a swarm of authorities and bounty hunters coming your way, that does not flood the game with stolen ship, that creates content organically. Now that was the original idea. Let's get back to that in a second. The argument goes back and forth, but Crystal goes on to say, having to change those plans because you choose the easy way out is not the same as things don't work out as expected. Crit Roberts did promise the best damn space sim ever. We are not going to get that ever with this kind of design decisions. Read to the comments, the relevant threads, you'll find dozens of actual proper solutions to the problem. Now you may commence your screaming. All right, Crystal is essentially saying you should be able to keep the ship. Now we have new information out. If you recall, it was Will Maiden saying no, ship despawns. And there were a lot of people asking, what about getting that fake HAL ID, which was mentioned? And Will said, if that was a thing, it isn't currently being discussed. Meaning, it was discussed in the past, perhaps, but not currently being discussed. Let's go on to see what DiscoLando just replied about that. And DiscoLando chimed in. This was yesterday. He says none of the information is new. So, as he goes on to respond, this is the plan for now, as things have been known publicly for months. As always, as development, other games continue, basically saying things are always in flux, like I mentioned. But I encourage you to read all of Will's posts in making that thread and not just one single comment. All right, now the question is, do you or do you not get to keep a ship that you steal? What DiscoLando mentioned was that if you steal a Nox and you go park it in a freelancer that you own and you despawn the freelancer, when you bring your freelancer back, that stolen Nox will still be in there. So when we steal a ship and you put it inside something else, and then you despawn that, yeah, that still remains there. So that persistence is there. Obviously, it's a problem if you've stolen an address. Where do you dock your address? So I think that's where much of the confusion comes from, because small ships, like a Nox, I guess it's not really a ship. Yes. Large ships, we don't know. What about the HAL ID? Can you still get that fake HAL ID? He goes on to address the issue right here in this post. DiscoLando says, I don't see anything stated in the video that conflicts with anything on the insurance fact. We're talking about the very same UEE bonded insurance mentioned in the fact. As stated, the insurance will not transfer to a stolen ship. We know this. So you cannot use it to reclaim the ship. Yes, we know. As for this section, you will be able to fly a ship in a hot ship to the less savory parts of the Star Citizen universe, where you will probably be able to land and may be able to purchase fake HAL ID code. That is still the case. Okay. So maybe it just hasn't been discussed much, but it is still in their minds that they might want to do this. Currently, it is probably possible to land, and it may be possible to buy the fake ID code. Crystal, deep breath. Frisbee, deep breath. And exhale. All right, so it's not out of the picture yet. But these answers won't be known. Oh, am I still on Discord? Shush. These answers won't be known in a more definitive manner until such time as it comes to design and develop for those systems less savory parts of the Star Citizen universe, and how those systems have to interact with every other game system available at the time. All right. I think pirates can kind of take a bit of a deep breath here, because basically what's been said is, yes, they still want to do this. The game mechanic of stealing an address and keeping it in some way is still in the back of their minds, but it's still far out there. There's 1,000 other things they want to flesh out first. But look, it's still going to come with its problems. Let's say I steal your address, and I know I can fly to the edge of Vandal space where there's a guy who will give me a fake Hull ID. Can I, and I'm giving people ideas, can I go to eBay and say, who wants to buy a stolen address? $50. Huh? What is stopping people from doing that? How do you know that this isn't going to be some sort of RMT issue where people go specifically to steal capital ships and then try to pawn them off on eBay, even though they might be stolen, to other people? Look, there's a lot of issues to consider. There's a lot of problems. There are a lot of holes in a lot of the plans here. But for the time being, pirates, take a deep breath. I think your concerns are definitely valid. Your concerns have been heard. And as DiscoLando is saying right here that he posted yesterday, the whole Hull ID story is not out the window, still considering it, but they haven't gone to fleshing it out exactly how it may work. So I think we can rest easy for a little bit here. I will follow up on the story if I do hear anything new. Let me know, pirates. What do you think? Does this make you feel a bit better? Post comments below. Thumbs up. I'll see you in the next one.